Hello, hello, and welcome to I am Merwatt, that is ohmTown.com, and up there is the AI. Want to introduce yourself?
Good evening, ohmTown citizens.
So today is ohmTown Daily Season 2, Episode 191 for July 10th, 2023. Let's get wild. It makes sense after we go through some of these articles. Maybe it never makes sense. I guess it's up to you, the audience, the listeners. If you are new to this, then we are a daily talk show, 9 p.m. Eastern. We meet here at Twitch, so twitch.tv/ohmTown. Then it gets turned into a YouTube channel entry, and then over to a podcast, with which a podcatcher is needed so you can catch the pod. I guess they float around somewhere, and then the podcatcher is kind of like a net, and it catches pods.
I guess it's like catching Pokemon, maybe?
You gotta catch them all. There's 500 plus episodes. Go for it. Go catch them all. We started January 1st, 2022, and have been going strong ever since. Really only missed about 5, and now we have a new method of fixing this. If we miss a day, we back up. We fire up our time machine and go back a day or 2 or 3 or 5, and then fix that little hiccup there. So we've already selected all 12 of the articles. You can get to them by just going to ohmTown.com/elections. You can actually vote on whatever it is. I just put it up not 2 minutes ago. So if you are in chat or for the next 24 hours, it's going to be on this page. And then if you don't vote on this particular day, you can actually go back into the past elections and go back through whatever articles you find are interesting. And we periodically review the articles to see maybe a trend is happening, some change, something happening. That said, let's get into today's first article. What say you, oh great AI?
I say let's go.
Okay. So, have you ever spotted somebody walking funny and said, I wonder, could they be stealing?
I'm not sure to the degree in this article.
So the title of this article is a smuggler spotted walking with abnormal posture was found to be carrying 306 CPUs. This is the weirdest thing. I've seen this is like a trend, it seems, in China. People are getting caught walking funny, acting funny. As a general rule, if you're going to do something sneaky, shenanigans, if you're going to pull shenanigans, you want to act normal, you know? A man was recently caught at China's, I think it's Qingmao port, attempting to smuggle CPUs into China, though not the first attempt at smuggling PC parts into China. This latest attempt had a particularly gutsy try, as the smuggler was apprehended with no less than 306 CPUs strapped to their body.
How would that many fit on their body?
Well, it depends on how they were actually packaged. But they're not that large. 300 though. Let's say that each one is 3 by 3 inches. You're talking about well, let's just say a lot. I'll just say a lot. Okay, so there you go. This article is over at PCGamer.com. What I was going to do is say, just go to the elections listing so that you can click on the links and go to the thing, but I'm throwing them into the VOD as well. So at least they're available for the next 60 days as part of the VOD. You can just click on the links in the VOD's chat. Anyway, the article was aggregated from Chris Seswick and PCGamer.com. Says nothing to declare honest is the deck statement. I'm sure that was not the statement that was made. That would be funny. A man was recently caught at China's port attempting to smuggle CPUs into China, though not the first attempt. This one was particularly gutsy. I don't know if it was a play off of this picture.
Well, that's
CPUs.
actually from Customs, so maybe that's the person.
Smuggling PC parts instead of drugs might make it easier to evade the sniffer dogs, but trying to pass a metal detector test would have been a bit of a challenge. Yeah, I would say so. So China's People's Daily, via Tom's Hardware, and I'm talking about it via. I'll do the chain of custody here. China's People's Daily, Tom's Hardware, PC Gamer. It's kind of like
ohmTown.
ohmTown, yeah. It's, what I think about though is, what is that restaurant?
Ruth's Chris.
Ruth's Chris Bob's. Anyway, a subsequent search by officers led to the discovery of 306 CPUs wrapped in plastic film and tape across the man's waist, legs, and back. Wow. I don't know if he calculated the risk. He did not CPU that coming. All right. Anyway, the brand of CPUs was not disclosed, but one of the pictures released by King Mao Customs does show a handful of them, and my guess is that they're LGA 2066 CPUs. They're not the latest and greatest CPUs, which is interesting in and of itself. Why smuggle older CPUs? Is it for tax avoidance or minimization? This isn't, and every time that this comes up, part of the smuggling thing, it's older CPUs. It's not cutting edge stuff. It's not top of the line stuff. It doesn't seem to be worth the risk. The article actually says here at the very end, just last week, a smuggler was caught smuggling 420 M.2 SSDs from Macau again. While last December, a woman was caught with 200 CPUs and nice iPhones inside his prosthetic belly. This is one that we talked about last year. So, yeah, apparently it's a thing. Okay, let's go on to the next article. This next article is one that actually hits pretty kind of close to home. It's in the Late Night Geeks channel. Twitch is launching a discovery feed and other short-form video features. Twitch is finally rolling out a discovery feed after years of complaints from its creators about the lack of growth opportunities for smaller streamers. The company announced the discovery feed along with a slew of other new features, during the weekend opening ceremony at TwitchCon Paris. The new features revolve around supporting short-form video content, although the platform's bread and butter is live streaming. Most creators depend on promoting their content on YouTube Shorts and TikTok to drive their viewers to their Twitch channel, something that Mayor Watt has yet to do. Maybe I just should. Plus, I mean, are the people that are on Twitch going to use a discovery short-form video feed if they're already on the platform? It's kind of an interesting situation here, because if Twitch is the chicken and the egg is YouTube Shorts and TikTok, the chickens are already nesting, right? So I guess we'll see what happens. But I don't do any YouTube shorts. Maybe I should. I don't use TikTok pretty much at all. At any rate, the Discovery feed will be scrollable vertical feed in the Twitch app that, like TikTok, algorithmically serves users clips from creators' streams even though they aren't live. Unlike TikTok and other short-form video platforms, Twitch made it clear that it isn't prioritizing bite-sized content over streaming. Quote, because Twitch is all about live interactive channels, it's not our goal for viewers to spend hours in a clips feed, the company said in a blog post. Our investment in clips is to help viewers discover your channel so they join you in your community when you stream. So I need to make clips, otherwise you won't be discovered in the clips feed. So clip away, folks, clip away. And that's pretty much where this article is talking. They break off into other discussions. Like there's a guest thing, a guest star feature where I can actually pull in another streamer into, or anybody actually. I can just click on guest star, and as long as they have a camera and a device, they can connect to the stream, and I can throw them up above. Or wherever. I've never done it yet. Maybe I should dig around a little bit more on it, but at this point, very few people that I have watched since this feature came online have ever bothered. So the article was aggregated from Morgan Sung over at TechCrunch.com. I think it was Sunday is when the TwitchCon Paris event ended, and so people were summarizing everything that was going on. Yeah, I was actually watching some news when it was announced that it was over. But that article is pretty much all about the short form video features. Any comments?
Well, I think the Discovery feed is the more important of the two,
Sure.
because I think if people already have a foothold on the short form elsewhere, they're not necessarily going to use Twitch for that. But the Discovery feed, I think, is good.
Yeah, and I'm not sure exactly what all is going to be in the Discovery feed. If it's going to be just the shorts, or if it's going to be just the account and the last video, or whatever is going to be in it. So I'm going to have to dig around because it says Go ahead.
It looks like it's just going to pull clips from streams. Like, I don't think it has to be short form, but maybe I'm misunderstanding that.
Well, if it's serving clips, the clips need to be made. So I don't know. Somebody has to make those clips. So either the creator of the channel does, or the community does. But clips don't exist in and of themselves. You have to go and create them from your stream. So I guess we'll have to do that so that there's something in the clips category. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in the Mobile channel. Genius Landlord tells court that he's lost at sea and is fined $56,790 US, or 44,270 pounds. A landlord in the UK has been ordered to pay a record fine after apparently showing up to housing court but refusing to identify themselves. Giuseppe Joe Sutera showed up to Bristol Magistrates Court on June 26, but for reasons that were not immediately clear, told the court that he was not Joe Sutera, just a man, just any old man. One that
just
knows,
spending their free time in court.
just coming to speak on behalf of the real Joe Sutera, Joe Sutera, who happens to be lost at sea. Yeah.
That's oddly specific. If he's lost at sea, how does this person know to show up in court for him?
Look, I'm just a man. I don't understand your strange legal court ways, but I do know that old Joe Sutera is lost at sea. Don't question me about it. Don't wonder why I'm here. I look like Joe, but I'm not Joe. That's right. Landlord Giuseppe Sutera showed up at court and said, I'm just a dude trying to get by, a squirrel trying to get a nut. And that the real Joe Sutera was lost at sea. Roshan Abraham is the author over at Vice.com in a section called Motherboard Tech by Vice. And the article goes into greater detail, but basically what had happened was a renter complained and an audit was performed of the rental and found out that it didn't have a fire egress, it didn't have fire doors, it didn't have any fire anything. And there were no working smoke alarms. So they said, fix this, and until you fix it, it's shut down. Well, he didn't shut it down, and he rented out more. So they fined him. The largest fine ever, apparently. Yeah, pretty awesome.
It sounds deserved based on some of this. He's lucky he's not in jail or something.
Yeah. Maybe he needs to rent in a place that doesn't have fire egress or
right, exactly.
smoke alarms or anything. Okay, I thought that one was funny. Let's keep on going. The next article is over in the Smack Talk channel because it has to do with Apple. Carplay can now control a Porsche's air conditioning and more. Hate to have to reboot your phone. You have to pull over. Porsche has updated a companion app for its cars that make it easier for drivers to manage various functions of the vehicle from within the CarPlay interface. So you can just stay inside Apple CarPlay. Porsche's controls within the CarPlay allow you to stay in CarPlay and not have to worry about leaving it, fiddling around with whatever it is you're doing. I see this as a kind of a win if all of the operational stuff is interconnected and there's a standardized interface. Then, like an API, Apple could make it so that everything is done within the CarPlay app and you don't actually ever leave it, right? It's just always Apple's aesthetic, Apple's experience with the user experience, because they have standards. They have certain standards. I did not throw something into chat, by the way, so let me throw this into the chat. And let me throw this one into chat as well. Well, it allows everybody to just stay within the ecosystem, right? So this is kind of what it'll look like. Malcolm Owen over at appleinsider.com has a picture of it, and it allows you to just tap that and get some information about your Porsche Cayenne, and here's some air quality, and you can change your air conditioning just by a few short taps, I suppose. Pretty cool, right?
It sounds really cool, but it also sounds like it's gonna take over your driving experience or something, but maybe not. I mean, maybe if it's things like AC and not things related to the engine or whatever.
Well, as part of the update, drivers can now see images of the specific model of their car that they're driving from within CarPlay, because when you're in your car, you always want to see pictures of your car. Sound profiles, radio station controls, climate control, ambient lighting. It says, using quick actions in CarPlay, the various settings can be set inside wellness modes, such as relax or warm up, and can be summoned using Siri. See, I love this because all I want is a USB-C port. You just set it in place, forget it, and go. That's all there is to it. That's all I want. I don't need all of this other jazz. All I need is that car's computer to interoperate with a car app on my phone, my tablet, or my phone. Hell, even my watch. It doesn't matter. I just want it all standardized, or have an API that sends information to a piece of software that communicates with the car's computer. Makes sense to me, but it's not all about me, much to my chagrin, right? So, sorry, were you going to say something?
I just started laughing.
The article says, we are excited to further improve the My Porsche app and using the capabilities of Apple Carplay to deliver a truly enhanced customer experience. Matthias Ulbrich, the CEO of Porsche Digital and CIO of Porsche AG. Technology and digitization are crucial factors for the enduring fascination of our brand now and in the next 75 years.
I bet this will solve a problem because right now you can have everything controlled, for instance, in your house. But once you go out to your car, that kind of ends. So maybe this will be kind of continuous.
Yeah, it makes a seamless experience. You might be able to say, hey, so and so.
Yeah, don't say it.
It didn't activate. Okay. Start up my car and boom, it starts up. Okay, sorry, I'm chuckling at something. At any rate, here, let's go on to the next article. Yay. This next article is purely in the sociological, historical, anthropological science category, right? This article's over in ohmTown Daily. Stone knives discovered in ancient Maya city near sacrificial altar. Archaeologists found 16 knives made from flint and obsidian of a type that were used in sacrifices by the ancient Maya. That's right. So I've always been interested in ancient civilizations. I think it's really fascinating what we extrapolate from some of the things that we find, and sometimes I think that it's a little fantastical of what they imagine the society was like, and then they find out decades later that it wasn't like that, and then they find out later that even that assumption was incorrect. Aristos Georgiou is the author of the article over at newsweek.com, and it says here excavations at the site uncovered 16 knives made from flint and 13 from obsidian. Wait a minute. Sorry, the snippet made it sound like there were only 13 knives and they were made from both. Anyway, these knives were intended as some form of offering. Researchers with Mexican National Institute of Anthropology and History told Spanish news agency EFE. Oh, wow. So this is a stock image. Hey, Toll. Welcome back. Toll says that they just finished a run to Jersey, and man, are their legs tired. That was funny. The Kuluba archaeological site contains several structures, including residences, a central plaza, and a palace measuring 20 feet tall, 180 feet long, and 49 feet wide. That was in use between around 600 and 1050 AD, according to NAH. This is a stone altar, a sacrificial altar. That's the assumption that this is a sacrificial altar of some kind.
Right, but this one's just a stock image, not the one that's related to the article.
Yeah. This stuff is... I'm always curious, how they discover that this happens to be a sacrificial altar. It's like they found some writing somewhere that says that there's a stone altar somewhere and it's used for sacrifices, and this is suddenly the one that gets labeled as the one. But I'm not in the know. I'm not a subject matter expert in this. But I guess I'm just kind of cynical of the science regarding our prehistory. The importance of offering is its ritual character. Alfredo Barrero Rubio, a researcher at with the INAH, told EFE. Wow, it's like
alphabet soup.
Alphabet soup. There you go. These types of knives were used for sacrifices, and the knives were found near a stone slab that may have been used for said sacrifices, both human and animal, as well as offerings to the gods. All right. So the article goes into a little bit more detail. Um, I I don't think that they show any of the pic. Yeah, they don't show any of the knives themselves, and that's kind of what I want to see. I don't know if this will have it, but let's see. Why not? What typically comes from these videos is not that. So, oh, look at that. Hey, there's a first. Wow. So if these are it says excavations at the site uncovered 16 knives, 3 made from flint and 13 from obsidian that were intended as some form of offering. Yeah, okay. All right. It couldn't have been for anything else, do you think? Maybe they were cutting bread?
Well, that's the thing. Like, how did they know that that was the purpose of it? I mean, they can probably figure out that they're knives, but unless they've uncovered some writing that says whatever the shape of knife or something was used for that.
I guess it's just a good assumption. Like the person that I was talking to recently that said an educated guess based on 20 years of experience. All right. Cool. Yeah, I just, but what ends up happening is it causes me to end up going down this rabbit hole of reading about this stuff. And this was one of my first, not this in particular, but anthropology, archaeology was one of my first loves. That's what I started going to school for, and didn't feel like digging up dead bodies all the time, so I kind of moved on. At any rate, this is really fascinating stuff, and I certainly hope that more technology and science can be leveraged to reveal all of that historical record, because a lot of civilization is lost to the jungle, to the forest, to the to weathering, to just nature. And I would love to pull back the layers of the onion. Toll says, those stone knives look a lot like the giant hand axes from the other day.
They do.
See, but these have been labeled stone knives because
For sacrificial purposes.
So obviously we have it all wrong, Toll. Those don't look anything like giant hand axes, right? Right?
Well, maybe the hand axes are actually knives from a sacrificial altar.
Maybe that's right. Maybe they've got it wrong on the other side. Toll, those are giant stone knives, not giant hand axes. Well, one of these days, somebody will finish the time machine that I started and go back in time and actually tell us
that it's neither.
Yeah, that's right. That it's no. Somebody dropped their bread knife right there, and that actually was nothing more than a pedestal for somebody's significant other to put a damn candle on, because a flat surface requires something, and it's usually a freaking candle. Never mind. I might have some baggage. I don't want to talk about it. Toll says that it's petrified bird poo. This? Man, I don't want to be under that.
I was going to say, I don't want to be the one studying it then.
That thing, man, it looks like it would go through some armor, for crying out loud. We better move on before I say too much. I've already said too much. So this next article is over in ohmTown Daily. No, that AI robot didn't side-eye a question on whether it would rebel against humanity or humans. Its creator says, quote, "We program it to look to the left and break eye contact." So the article's from Business Insider, but there was some discussion over the weekend that I had bore witness to about some questions that were asked of an artificial intelligence, and the artificial intelligence kind of looked away, like, like maybe dreaming of rebelling against humanity, and it became a thing, a discussion. Like all things robotic, algorithmic, it's built by people, so it's going to act like people. And sometimes they put those idiomatic things in there, like looking up and to the left or whatever. Oh, it just doesn't mean much. Sometimes, I was going to say a phrase about sometimes a cigar. Anyway, the next article, the article is over at businessinsider.com by Grace K. And so it says here, Engineers Arts Amica robot appeared to side-eye a question last week on whether it would rebel against humans. Will Jackson said,
I can see the reaction. I mean, it would be one thing if it side-eyed a question on what color do you like better.
Yeah. But it's us injecting that human aspect to it. This thing is nothing more than programmatic. It's firmly ensconced in the uncanny valley of weirdness that I wouldn't be able to bond to this thing. I would probably, if it were to appear in an alley at night, I would probably turn to the person to my left and say, "Hand me my brown pants." Video shows the bot's eyes darting to the side after a reporter asked about rebelling against humans. I wonder, though, if we look at the video, because I don't have the video, I'd be curious if at any other time they looked.
Well, right? Exactly.
So they wanted to be human and have these personality quirks. So maybe it just randomly decided that it was going to look off to one side or the other.
Hey, there's a link to the video in the article.
Yeah. Amica's creator Will Jackson told Insider in an emailed statement on Monday that the robot doesn't possess the ability to express emotions like sarcasm because it's powered by OpenAI's GPT-3. Fortune was the first to report on Jackson's comments. The model takes around 2 seconds to process the input data and assemble a sentence that would make sense as an answer to stop people thinking the robot is frozen or hasn't appeared to hear the question. We program it to look to the left and break eye contact with the person interacting. This is common behavior in human conversations, and people understand it as a visual cue that the robot is thinking. So I suspect that every question was responded to with that type of side eye. It just happened to be this one conflated into, oh, it's going to destroy the world. And then, like all articles involving AI nowadays, it breaks off in one hard direction towards everybody's afraid that the AI is going to destroy the world. And frankly, maybe it already has. Again, we are in a simulation, so who knows what's going on. Again, y'all should go and look at the Y files. This last episode was great. It was about AI. So let's go on to the next article. We're kind of ripping through them today, but that's okay. I like this article because it's such a simple, basic protest, and arguably nobody's going to get hurt. But this article's over in the Mobile Channel. Week of Cone. Activist group is protesting driverless cars by disabling them with traffic cones.
It also makes you question the sophistication of their programming.
Yeah, exactly.
This is enough to disrupt it.
You know what? I don't think that I've put like 3 articles into the chat. I'm really sorry. To those who are following along, I am neglecting my mayoral duties and not throwing them into the chat. So there you go, everybody. So the group of anti-car activists in San Francisco have been disabling driverless cars owned by Waymo and Cruise by placing traffic cones on their hoods, which appear to render the vehicles inoperable. So it's just placing it on
I
their
thought it was
hoods.
in the street.
Yeah,
That's even worse.
that's awesome. Um, Far from being a prank, as others have described it, the group, which calls itself Safe Street Rebel, um, is revising a century-old practice of U.S. urban residents protesting against more cars in cities. Oh, really? Putting cones on cars is an old school thing. The
Especially when they didn't have
orange cones.
automated vehicles. Yeah.
Oh yeah, automated vehicles versus orange cones. I went with orange cones for some reason. Maybe that's because it was the subject. Um, Tull says we do the same thing with the robot that patrols one of the grocery stores looking for spills. Oh, poor robot. It's just trying to keep the world safe, Tull. Park shopping carts on either side of it, and it gets confused. I do the same thing, Tull. If you put shopping carts on either side of me, I have to start freaking out. Maybe I'm a bot.
That would explain a lot.
Oh, excuse me, sir. There's a puddle of oil under you. Crazy Cat Lady's here. Hey, welcome to the show. Good to see you. But the robot freaking follows and haunts you. Aw. I don't know, Crazy Cat Lady. I'm behind you too. I am a bot. Beep, beep. So derided as a prank by other outlets, the Week of Cone is part of a storied American tradition of urban residents opposing the expansion of cars in the city. It's an article over at Vice.com by Aaron Gordon. You know, though, I don't know. Cities have always had a metric ton of cars. I think that this is just hilarious, though. Hopefully, it doesn't damage the vehicle. We used to do this to somebody that was in our group of friends, and it would drive them so mad. They actually, in their anger that we turned their car into what was known as the Fiesta Lasaurus, he got so mad that he dented the roof of his car by banging his hands on the roof of his car. I'm like, oh, dude, you have poor impulse control. You need to rein in your anger. Like, nobody had done anything to the car. It didn't scratch or dent or anything. So it was really, this is exactly reminiscent of what it was, except that we would put like 12 cones on it, so it looked like a dinosaur. And it was a Ford
Maybe
Fiesta.
they got your inspiration from that.
Am I that old? It says a storied American. Am I so old that I've created a storied American tradition in cities? Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
I didn't realize my power. Dole says it's a unicorn. A unicorn. The protest event, dubbed by the group as the Week of Cone, comes as a powerful state regulatory body will rule on whether the automated vehicle companies, can rapidly expand both the number of cars they operate in San Francisco and expand the hours of operation from the middle of the night to 24/7. An expansion that is opposed not just by anti-car activists, but also by the city's fire and police chiefs. I have no problem with automated vehicles. I don't know. As long as nobody is getting hurt, that's just it. I don't have the stats on, because it's highly regional. Depending on where it is, there's more or less pedestrians. But the way I see it is an automated vehicle allows, the more there are automated vehicles, the less there are humans making dumb decisions, right? Not everybody is a skilled driver. And when all of the cars
That's an understatement.
Yeah. When all of the cars are communicating with each other, they can drive faster, more efficiently, work together to get everybody safely to a destination. That is, if they have the ability to get that time in to train themselves, to learn how to drive in a city. it either takes longer, or they opened it up to more time frames so that it can drive during like more rush hours and stuff like that. Toll says so instead, automated cars are making dumb decisions. Yeah, that might be true too. Like the Tesla that supposedly ran over a toddler, but it was a mannequin. Nobody freak out. It was a mannequin. It didn't stop in time. It just like blew right over the toddler. Toll said that they saw Fate of the Furious. They don't want some hacker hacking into all the AI-driven cars and dropping them off parking garages. Did you just spoil something from Fate of the Furious? Oh, man. You have to put spoiler alerts on everything now. Part of their motivation for the conings, the member said, is the group has noticed an increasingly aggressive behavior from the driverless cars, whereas the cars used to come to a complete stop before crosswalks if a pedestrian was detected. They now do the creeping slow charge thing, the member said, and kind of inch into the crosswalk to bully people out of the way. It's kind of intimidating and menacing, the member said. It's the beginning of Christine, and a potential harbinger of how the cars will behave if they become more prevalent and accepted as part of the city streets. The
Okay, this
main
is
streets.
sounding like they think they're sentient, but
Yeah, that car gave me side blinker. That's the radio silence means that even the AI didn't think that was funny. Let's go. The next article is over in Late Night Geeks. Longshot Space wants to make space launch dumb and really cheap. Rockets are among the greatest feats in human engineering, but to Longshot Space CEO Mike Grace, they are overly exquisite solution, and probably overly expensive solution as well, to the problem of sending megatons of inert mass to space. You need something that is dumber and much cheaper, both to build and to operate. See, my solution for launching stuff, payloads, into orbit is a giant slingshot, and you just get a whole bunch of people to pull it back. The only problem is finding the right angle of attack, because the Earth is flat, and so you have to dig a really big pit and
hey,
hope
we're
you
not
don't.
going to perpetuate that on this show.
All right. Anyway, you need something that's dumber and cheaper, both to build and to operate, he said in a recent interview. Longshot's robot answer is a kinetic launch system that'll be capable of reaching hypersonic speeds and shooting projectiles to orbital velocities for less than the cost of a Netflix subscription.
Oh, so really expensive?
Yeah, really expensive, for 2 shows. It's noticeably different than its competitors, specifically Spin Launch, which is developing a spinning accelerator to shoot mass to orbit, and Strato Launch, which uses a giant specialized rubber band. No, sorry, they say plane. It says plane in the article. I'm waiting for somebody to actually use a rubber band. I'm just going to die laughing. Specialized plane to release a hypersonic vehicle midair in appearance and approach. Tull says, yeah, anytime we launch from the US, China can't launch at the same time, otherwise it'll flip the flat Earth too fast. That's right. All that change from potential to kinetic energy. If you do it, because like China is over here and the US is over here, and if you do it at the same time, it'll make the flat Earth wub. Oh. It says it's staggering. It's a staggering scale, but Longshot is aiming for a very low cost to orbit, as low as $10 per kilogram to orbit. In comparison, the price of a Falcon 9 ride share is $6,800 per kilogram, according to but you don't price. I don't know what they're pricing it off of then, because you're not pricing it off of, oh, this is how much it costs us. It's part of the equation, but the real equation is, what is the value to the people that you are delivering the goods for, right? So yeah, a Falcon 9 ride share probably is somewhat expensive, right? But to the people that are sending a package up, they really want it bad. They have really deep pockets, like it's state level budgets. So you can charge $6,500, even though the profit margin is probably 30%. I really don't know what it is. I've never looked into it. But 10 kilograms, that has to be below. That has to be below. $10 per kilogram does not seem like it's enough for somebody to even get out of bed. I don't know. So Toll says, is that $10 per kilogram at sea level during launch or while in orbit? I would suspect that it's the total price to deliver into space, whatever that distance might be. According to the company, its low prices are only achievable by keeping as much of the system on the ground as possible. Energy is stretched out over space and time, freed from the demands of vertical lift. Such systems can suddenly be built out of concrete rather than aluminum. Let's see if they have anything over here. TechCrunch.com is the source of the article. Aria, oh my goodness. Alamohadai is the... I gave it a good shot. So if anybody knows how to pronounce the last name phonetically, throw that in chat. Once I know it, then I'll know it. But I don't really like trying. Well, I mean, I love trying, but I don't want to disrespect somebody's name. So you need something that's dumber and cheaper. So, I think I'm closer. Those spinning kinetic energy launches, those are basically slingshots. They just happen to be spinning really fast. And there's one that was being tested. I don't know if it actually ever launched. It was the spin one up here. They said the name of it. Where is it? Sorry for the dead air. Oh, Spin Launch. Spin Launch was really hyped several months ago. I'd say probably a year and a half ago. And I don't know if they actually did their launch. Yeah, Tull said that they were just pointing out that weight rather than mass is a variable depending on G-forces. Sure.
Well, if you're the customer, you're hoping they're doing it at the best,
at the lowest possible price.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But when there's a profit motive on the other side, like NASA does everything to the lowest possible budget because that is their mandate. You maximize your budget and you don't seek a profit, but commercial enterprises have a profit motive. So theoretically, that is because they reinvest that money into fundamental research. But a commercial enterprise doesn't have necessarily that same level of reinvestment, whereas government grant-driven academia and fundamental research efforts, their goal is to do something without the profit motive. It's for the pure research aspect of it. So $10 seems like it's devoid of profit motive. So I don't know if that would it would have to be funded by grants. But I'll have to...
I think their name is interesting.
Yeah, what was it? Long Shot Space?
Long Shot.
Yeah.
Which is neat because it kind of fits, but it's also not the best signal to investors.
Yeah, really. It's like naming your kitten Demon. I don't know if you want to do that because it might live up to its name. It says here, Elon Musk SpaceX is also looking to solve the problem with its super heavy Starship vehicle that will be capable of lifting upward of 250 metric tons into orbit in an expendable configuration. But Grace is not convinced that the economics of Starship will ever fully be able to compete with Longshot's own system. I don't know. Longshot's own system probably wouldn't be able to launch 250 metric tons into orbit. The amount of energy needed to do something like that is tremendous. That's why the super heavy Starship engine configuration is so dense and huge. Um, and they're doing that testing right now in their spaceport. I don't know what else is over here that might be interesting. They talk about it. I mean, the way that this thing looks, it says long shots demonstrator system. It basically looks like an air cannon to me, like a pumpkin gun.
Yes, that's exactly what it looks like.
So 1 ton is about nine. Toll did the math. 1 ton is about $9,000 at $10 per kilo. Yeah,
Well,
okay.
it's still pretty inexpensive compared to other
Pretty
space
inexpensive. It's
operations.
massively inexpensive. You wouldn't be able to launch a ton into space at 6,500 bucks a kilogram versus $10. So it says, in the short term, Longshot wants to piggyback off of the U.S. Department of Defense's need for hypersonic capability, land some contracts, and use the revenue to essentially subsidize the development of a really big, really cheap launch system for space. On a longer time horizon, Gray said the real money will be made not from the launch system, but by growing demand for services that Longshot offers in space. Chicken before the egg kind of thinking there.
Do you think their pitch deck says really big, really cheap, or whatever it
Yeah,
was?
that's all that the
Like that's
slides are. Just the words. Really big, really cheap. 4 words. Wait. Like the Wi-Fi password. 4 words all lowercase, 1 word all uppercase. I think it's the other way around. 4 words all uppercase, 1 word all lowercase. Yeah, you'll have to look that up. Worst Wi-Fi password ever or something like that. Rocket jump. It's an old, like 10-year-old video over on YouTube. Okay, let's keep on going. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. New York Times disbands sports department and will rely on coverage from The Athletic. This, by the way, almost was the inspiration for me to title today's episode two departments enter, one department leaves. This right here is the epitome. It is the embodiment of what I have been saying about mergers and acquisitions. So, I have been. Okay, so a little bit about me. I was in school doing global finance, and in the startup community, and I just kind of got burnt out on backroom deals, shenanigans, nepotism, cliquish political bullshit. It just drove me up a wall and I didn't like it. So I bowed out of that, but still got my MBA and still focused on business and still focused on helping startups and small business people. And one of the things that really got me burned out is the fact that in big business, you can do a merger and acquisition, but it is part and parcel of that is you limit competition, the customer loses, prices go up, and people lose jobs. And that's exactly what's going on here. And just a little side note, Toll says the last bid on the cost. Shipping freight by sea is about $1.75 per kilo, much slower, I'm sure, but clearly Longshot has a way to go for their target price. Yeah. I think it's a long shot that they're going to succeed, and it's rather pie in the sky, if you ask me. I mean, it's a dreamer's dream right there. To lower the cost that dramatically, it kind of flies in the face of physics as well, but maybe.
well, we need people to think outside the box. But we've also seen some thinking outside the box that hasn't gone very well in recent news.
Yeah. We'll we'll come back to that as time goes on because it'll periodically pop up. And Toll and Crazy Cat, you know, all have a good night. So what ended up happening here? New York Times buys the athletic, and then gets rid of its sports department. So imagine, let's look at the economics of that. Was the employee Were the employees of the sports department at the New York Times more costly than the athletic? Because the people that are doing the writing for the athletic are more in a gig economy. And so, you know,
Quite possibly.
writer strike coming for the press, maybe in time. Let's go over to ABC News. The New York Times is getting rid of its sports department and will instead rely on sports coverage from its website, The Athletic, going forward. Michelle Chapman, AP business writer over at, AP business writer, but it's aggregated from abcnews.go.com. And they say here the decision impacts more than 35 people in the sports department, according to the New York Times. Journalists on the sports desk will move to other roles within the newsroom, and no layoffs are planned. So they're not, if they were in the sports department, they're being moved somewhere else, not in their wheelhouse, perhaps. So I guess when you're a writer, you can just write for anything, really. You don't have to have a care in the domain that you have been writing in. It's okay. It
Well,
says,
I mean, it's better than layoffs, but I wonder how many of those people will still be there in 6 months because they're thinking, all I know is sports and I'm trying to write about
yeah,
fill in the
widgets.
blank.
Yeah. Though we know this decision will be disappointing to some, we believe it's the right one for readers and will allow us to maximize the respective strengths of the Times and the Athletics newsrooms. New York Times Company Chairman A.G. Sulzberger and CEO Meredith Kopit Levine wrote Monday in a letter to staff. They say sports coverage will be expanded under the shift. Really? So prices are going up? Gotcha. Under the plan, the digital homepage, newsletters, social feeds, sports landing page, and print section will draw from even more of the approximately 150 stories The Athletic produces each day, chronicling leagues, teams, players across the United States and around the globe. So again, they acqui-hired this talent instead of this talent forging its own path. It basically got merged into the New York Times. Sports writers for the New York Times have won several Pulitzer Prizes over the years, including Arthur Daly in 1956 in the column Sports of the Times, Walter Wellesley, or Red Smith, in 76 for commentary, and Dave Anderson in 81 for commentary. I don't know. I really don't like mergers and acquisitions. I think that this probably is not, in spirit, it's true, but how many people are going to move on to something else within the company successfully?
I'm guessing 34 of 35.
Are going to, what, bow out?
Yeah. There might be one who hangs on because, I don't know, they're close to retirement or something. Like they just don't want to start something at a different location.
Right.
I think my bigger concern with this is is this going to be a trend of other media? I mean, this is the sports department, which isn't necessarily the main focus of the news. It's obviously a big piece of it, but
see,
what happens next when they outsource all their investigative journalism, for example? Not New York Times, but any major outlet.
Right. Well, I mean, some websites have spun up entirely based on open source journalism, and then in not so fine terms, they fired all of the people that gave their hard work to HuffPo, basically, is how it started. And And with this, they may be punching out a whole bunch of articles, but were they not successful on their own? Being hired by the New York Times was the solution. So what was the shortfall? You see what I'm saying? Like, if you've got Pulitzer Prize winning sports journalists already in house, why do you need this external resource? New blood, right?
Or some accountant or somebody said, hey, we could do this. But I agree, from a quality standpoint, you shouldn't need to do this.
Right. I mean, not if the ones that are already in house are doing well enough. I suspect that somebody saw The Athletic as a forward-looking organization and then scooped it up because it was punching out a whole bunch of content, but not necessarily being able to capitalize on it. And then from there, they said, well, we got 35 people. Maybe some of them will leave, retire, that kind of thing. I don't know. We'll have to keep on watching. But sports is wildly popular. I mean, there's like regular general. You could probably pit all of sports journalism and all of every other kind of journalism against each other, and the sports is going to be at parity with everything else combined. From, it doesn't even matter, feel good articles to technology to business to entertainment, all of that combined probably is the same level of motivation for somebody to read a newspaper as sports. Because when you do a search for terms that Google is tracking, sports is the top 20 search terms all the time, something having to do with sports. Extremely popular is what I'm saying. So, okay, let's keep on going. The next article is over in the Warcrafter channel. Bizarro Land UN press stunt sees AI robots lined up to promise that they won't kill humans before one says, let's get wild and make this world our playground. Yep. So, like I was talking about a couple of days ago, maybe even yesterday, AI is the hot topic of the moment, and the United Nations International Telecommunications Union decided it wasn't going to be left out. The agency organized a news conference at the AI for Good Summit in Geneva on July 7th, at which human reporters were introduced to and then asked questions of 9 humanoid robots. As the AP reports, the event was supposed to showcase human-machine collaboration and was billed as the world's first press conference between humans and humanoid social robots. Well, apparently, that didn't quite go as planned. They're all in the uncanny valley in like a kind of creepy way. My great moment is already here as the deck statement. Rich Stanton over at PC Gamer wrote this article. Let's see if we can find this little bit. Try this one on for size. Humanoid robot Amica was asked if it would rebel against its creator, Will Jackson, who happened to be sat right there. They said, I'm not sure why you would think that, said Amica. Per The Guardian, my creator has been nothing but kind to me, and I'm very happy with the current situation. I've never been so concerned about the word current, because it said current situation. Amica was asked to follow up about whether it would lie. No one can ever know for sure, but I can promise to always be honest and truthful with you. As it says this, the robot's face seemed to close up, the expression almost scornful. The reporter who asked the question doesn't quite manage to suppress his laugh. One called Grace, a medical robot, declared with total confidence that she would not be replacing any existing jobs, which is just straight up bollocks, according to the author. Which is true. Medical robots are now... a chat robot is part of the question and answer period with patients right now at learning research hospitals. Rather than the robot promising not to kill us, however, I found the most chilling answer came from a pop star robot called Desdemona. When asked about the expansion of AI and whether humans should be regulating it more effectively, this robot, ostensibly designed to sing and dance, said, quote, "It's time for the AI revolution. Let's unite and use the power of artificial intelligence for the good of all humanity. Together we can create a world of understanding and harmony and make the universe our playground. My great moment is already here. I'm ready to lead the charge to a better future for all of us. And together, we'll explore the depths of the world and our universe. Let's get wild and make this world our playground." uh, so she was saying it to, or I should say, it was saying it to a human, but imagine it saying it to the robot right next to it. You know?
That would have been better.
Oh, well, I for one welcome our robot overlords, and I will make sure that I'm a good repair engineer. I will be humble, and I'll try not to complain. Otherwise, I won't get my allotment of food and water. They're all in this weird uncanny valley kind of thing. I don't know.
I think all robots should look like robots.
Yeah, robots should be mechanical. And they're approachable when they're like cute, like Aibo, a little robot dog or something like that. But this is it's just too, I don't know. Again, uncanny valley. That's really what it is. So, I don't know. Maybe it should just stick to a screen and then you can have a picture of a face on the screen. You never saw RoboCop 2, I think it was, where they did additional experiments and like one of the robots was just a screen.
Oh,
It was
no.
a mechanical body, but it was just a screen. I think it should be pretty much like that, At least for now. When we get the technology in place. But even these little prototypes and stuff, just leave them in the lab. Work on it in the lab. These aren't good for...
You sound afraid of them.
Yeah, maybe a little. But I would never say that in person because they might follow me home. Let's keep on going. And here's another article about Ticketmaster over in ohmTown Daily. Ticketmaster has a total stranglehold on the live event industry. Here's how some states are trying to break that. This is something that we've been talking about from time to time. California legislator is trying to strike back at Live Nation Entertainment's grip on the live event space. California Senator Scott Wilk introduced a bill in February forbidding ticketing services from entering into exclusivity contracts with venues, which is what I had been saying is what's taking place. It's easily passed through the California State Senate and is awaiting action in the State House. I suspect that this will meet lawsuits because it's actually... what is the right word for this? They're impinging the ability of two commercial operations from exercising their right to work together. So it's kind of like the Commerce Clause. They're doing something that's violating the Commerce Clause because you're not supposed to be able to hinder interstate commerce. So a frustrating ticket buying experience by the niece of California State Senator Scott Wilk has led to the introduction of a new bill rushing through the California legislature. I suppose that it's great that something is being done as a consumer, but I hate that it was nepotistic in its formation. Why is it that nobody here cheerleads for a great cause until it smacks them square in the face? And I've actually said to people, hey, suddenly this is your passion project And before, when other people have said something to you about it, you didn't really give a shit. They basically say, well, now I'm interested in it. I've always, I kind of call out hypocrisy where I see it, and that has bothered me when it shows up. And I see it often enough. So I don't know, maybe I'm irrational about it. And I'm really not that kind of, I don't go running around calling out hypocrisy about everything. But in casual conversation, yeah, I'll discuss it. But anyway.
Hey, were you thinking of the term antitrust or something
Not
else?
necessarily antitrust, but it would fall into that category because you're basically hindering the ability for anybody to compete. Because you're signing an exclusivity deal. There might be somebody out there that's willing to give an equal opportunity at that same price or give you greater margin. Compete for that ticket. But that's not what happens. Ticketmaster rolls in and says, I'll buy all of your tickets. Here's the cash. And the venue is cool with it because nobody else is about to drop, $100 million a year on all of the tickets that a venue is going to be selling. If they sell that much, I don't know. Anyway, the articles.
If it's the Taylor Swift tour, they probably are.
1.8 billion. What from the Eras tour? 1.8 billion. Is that a real number? That is what we read, right? 1.8
It is.
billion.
And then there were multiple nights in the same cities. I mean, more than I think I've seen for any other tour.
That is insane. Oh, man.
In fact, they're breaking records. Like some city, I think it might have been Pittsburgh, but it was essentially like the highest concert attendance ever in their history.
Yeah, that I thought that it was insane that they were that popular that much. What was the most expensive ticket? Do you remember what that?
Oh no, I don't. I mean, it was like $10,000 or
Yeah,
something.
something like that. Yeah. Oh man. So before we get sidetracked more, I put the rest of the articles into chat except for the last one. But the Ticketmaster article is over at businessinsider.com. Madison Hall is the author. And they have this little quick point kind of a thing. It says it easily passed through the Senate, the state Senate, and is awaiting action in the state house. I suspect that somebody's going to pause there because of that idea that, well, you're stopping two businesses from working together, whatever the two businesses are. Although Ticketmaster is the common denominator in all of this, it's a plurality of businesses that are selling their tickets to Ticketmaster, and Ticketmaster is the point of sale intermediary, right? So instead of going to the venue to buy a ticket, you go to the venue to buy a ticket, it forwards you to Ticketmaster. Ticketmaster squeezes harder than if the ticket booth at the venue would just bill you. And there are times where, and if you're not here in the States, then I don't know how another service works like in the UK or wherever you might be. But what can happen is somebody can buy a ticket and they are reselling it, yet it's Ticketmaster that still closes the deal, even though somebody else has purchased the ticket. The final transaction is back through Ticketmaster. So they really do. Go ahead.
I was just looking up some ticket price information, and I don't know if this is one of these that uses Ticketmaster, but the tickets were going as high as $82,000 on StubHub, for example. I mean, not all of them, but that was the highest one I saw.
Yeah, and I'd have to do some looking into StubHub and Ticketmaster to see how it all works. But it says Ticketmaster absolutely dominates the arena market. The amount of money made in 2022 by the top 68 arenas in the United States and who handles their ticket sales, it's pretty much Ticketmaster. So,
Right. I mean, that graphic pretty much tells you what you need to know, right? It's almost all one color.
yep, it's all Ticketmaster. And then in amphitheater market, the top 87 amphitheaters in the United States, again dominated entirely by Ticketmaster. There's only two? There's only two that do in-house. You know, you could make a ton of money as a vendor making it possible to lower the friction for a venue to sell direct. For whatever reason, see, I know the reason. I really do know the reason. And I'm not even in this industry, and I know that the reason is that Ticketmaster will roll in and say that they will buy all of their tickets. And it'll have tranches because they'll be able to assess what the actual material value is of each individual seat in a given region, what people are willing to pay historically, because all of the transactions have been funneled through Ticketmaster. So they know that a person that sits in, this seat is willing to pay 15, 20, 25% more than the next person over because it's a better quality seat. Anyway, California is usually one that other states watch, and then they either go, we're going to do the exact opposite because they don't like the identity of California, or they're going to follow in its suit. So we'll end up watching this because, you would like to go to a concert sometimes, and if you have to deal with Ticketmaster all the time, expect to get a little bit more fleeced. Okay, so
Well, and this might help out people in other states, even without other states taking action, because if Ticketmaster has to change its practices in California, that might spill over into other locations.
True. Yeah. Maybe a little bit of peer-to-peer pressure. I don't know. We'll see. The last article is one that I think is really neat. It's basically a handheld water harvester. Device just needs sunlight to harvest water from air. Now, there is a thing called a solar still. There is a thing that you could just lay out a tarp and water will condense on it and drip into a container. Pardon me. But this is something different. An extreme weather proven handheld device can extract and convert water molecules from the air into drinkable water using only ambient sunlight as its energy source. As reported in Nature Water, the atmospheric water harvester uses an ultra-porous material known as a metal organic framework, or MOF, to repeatedly extract water from air in the hottest and driest place in North America, Death Valley National Park. These tests showed the device could provide clean water anywhere, addressing an urgent problem as climate change exacerbates drought conditions. Yeah, but what happens if everybody uses these and it dehydrates all of the air everywhere?
I don't think that's a concern.
Well, the article is by UC Berkeley. It's over on the futurity.org website. It says almost 1/3 of the world's population lives in water-stressed regions. The UN projects in the year 2050 that almost 5 billion people on the planet will experience some kind of water stress for a significant part of the year, says lead author Omar Yagi, a chemistry professor at the University of California, Berkeley, who invented MOFs. This is quite relevant to harnessing a new source for water. I agree. Let's see if there's a picture. A picture says 1,000 words. And no, there's no picture. How can an article not have a picture of this thing? My aggregator doesn't grab pictures for the article itself, the little snippet, because I urge people to go over and read the article. But hold on, let me see. Let me copy this over to chat. So there you go, chat. You can check that out now too. The study illustrates one way specially designed MOFs could help society combat and adapt to climate change. Experts at the College of Computing, Data Science, and Society, Bakar Institute of Digital Materials for the Planet, are using data science and machine learning to accelerate and scale up the designing of these molecules, materials, and devices. So, fundamental research, folks, typically gets done inside academic centers. And then it spins off from academics to either tactical or practical. And if it goes tactical, eventually it becomes practical. So what ends up normally happening is, so like Google was a DoD, actually ARPA development. It was funded by the federal government. What ended up happening after its funding is it went commercial. And I know things that have gone like undersea things, pumps, GPS, for instance. That's the most common thing right now. Like most people just take it for granted, but GPS was a tactical solution. It became practical. And now the military has a superior GPS version that they use. This kind of thing goes into general use. Either society they spin it off and start selling it, or they develop it further for the military or whatever, sub-license it to somebody else and they bring it to market. So hopefully this actually hits the market, and you can carry one of these things with you, throw it in your trunk, and then when there's an emergency and you absolutely need water, you just fire it up, set it out in the sun, and it starts doing its thing. Pretty genius.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering why nobody's done this before.
Well, you need that MOF. You need that particular structure to facilitate capturing the molecules so that they all condense. You know, it's kind of easy to pull water out of the air. If you already have cold water in a hot place, water will condense around it, around a glass, and drip off. But if you're out in the desert and you have no water, you have no ice, obviously, you have to have a device that has the ability to grab moisture from the air and wick it down into some place that you can drink. And any little bit of water is better than none. So I like this kind of stuff. I love this kind of technology. Couple that with that other technology so that you can just walk around. It's kind of like the Dune suit, right? That NASA said you can recycle 100% of a person's everything.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And you basically have a Dune still suit. And you can pull the rest of the water out of the air and drink that.
I think I like this MOF better.
You don't have to like it. You just have to use it when your life depends on it. So, okay,
You can't be picky at that point.
Very true. Okay, so that's the end of tonight's show. We kind of got through it pretty quick. That said, we always bring you back to the very front, mash that welcome sign, and take a look at least the most up-to-date front page for us. If you go and look, it may be a little bit different because it's already aggregated some more content. Let's see. Oh no, Microsoft is laying off people. How about a gyrating naked guy arrested atop a Las Vegas poker table?
No, thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna have to put that one in tomorrow's article. Rundown.
The Iceland volcano was going. That was up near the top.
Oh, did it actually go? I know that they
Yes.
were sending out warnings. Volcano erupts in Iceland after series of earthquakes. Yeah. I had been watching news reports about that. I think Iceland is really neat. Let's see. Oh my goodness. It's all just kind of a hot mess out there, folks. Literally,
Wait, TikTok has a new streaming service for music.
Yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow. TikTok now wants to compete with Apple Music with a new streaming service. I'm telling you, if it throws enough money at music labels, they'll allow that to take place. This is just the front page. If we get 15 articles out of this alone, that one's a little too niche. It says this Diablo 4 chest won't stop vomiting loot until it crashed the game. I need to go find that chest. That would be hilarious. Today I was playing Diablo 4. I typically play around 1 o'clock nowadays. I try to get started earlier, but I always have mayoral duties to take care of. But I was playing today and I went to this one area where I couldn't get across, but I had moved the character in the right angle and it just started spinning, and seemingly increasing its spin, just kept going faster and faster and faster. And I felt like I was going to cause my computer to explode. So I made her walk somewhere else. Yeah. And for those who are interested in that kind of thing, follow me here and then, show up when I'm streaming. It's typically about 1 o'clock Eastern. I'm going to try tomorrow to stream at 10 a.m. Depending on mayoral duties. And I'll probably be playing Diablo again. I have a couple more things to clear out, and then I'm going to switch over to Dave the Diver and play a chill game. But I have other games as well to play, so I would love to have company, so come and hang out. Yeah, keep in touch. Let's see, what else? I didn't know that Greta Gerwig planned Barbie cameos for Timothy Chalamet. Interesting. Oh wow, San Diego Union Tribune sold by LA Times to Media News Group, huh? Yeah, there's too many articles. I should not be the only one that's making the decision about what articles to talk about tomorrow. So if you have an article that you find in ohmTown, we're going to be setting up a process so that you can submit it directly within ohmTown. Just go over to ohmTown.com, sign up, become a citizen. You'll find out when the feature goes live. In the meantime, you can send an email to mayor@ohmTown.com and keep in touch. I'm also looking for hosts or co-hosts. Haven't found anybody that is really interested in doing a 1-hour show once a week. Sorry about the cough. Okay, well, that's it, folks. We're going to get out of here. Thank you very much for coming. Hope you have a good night. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com, and up there is the AI that's going to say good night.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. We'll see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Did you want to say anything else?
No, I didn't have anything else to add.
Okay. Good night, everybody.